Hey everybody, Mural Joe here. I'm painting these lions in this tree in this baby's room, and I'm going to take a minute to show you how I get the look of fur without killing myself on details. Imagine like a rainbow that goes from violet on this end to red, and then to orange, and then to yellow, and then to white. So I've explained this before, but it applies to fur just as much as it does to other things like leaves and water and things that light shines through. So if the shadows are anywhere on this spectrum, then the highlights are going to change color as they get brighter in the direction of that yellow. So if the shadows are down here at the violet, then the highlights might be up at the red or the orange. And if the shadows are up at the orange, then the highlights, or the bright areas where the light's shining, are going to be up closer to the yellow. And then, at the extreme, even all the way to a bright pure white, like in a sunset shining through watery clouds. So then it doesn't matter what these colors are. So I know I'm going to get asked, what color do you use for the fur? Well, let's just call this lion's fur gold. I just mixed it with red and yellow and some white. And this one has a lot more yellow in the red to yellow ratio. This shadow color is red and yellow and black, and it has more red in it in the ratio. So side by side, you can see them up here. Let's do a little bit. I'm going to paint over this, but you can see this more brownish color. Now I know that's not red, but it's an orange that has black in it, but it has more red than the bright color I'm going to be using. This one is a lot more toward the yellow. So to look like fur, you want good bright colors where the light's shining, because fur is little tiny hairs that the light shines through and then bounces back out of and filters and colors the light. That's why this effect is here. So I'm going to do this lion and start filling in the shadows with that. And I also have black that you can't see because I have it off camera here. And then this is pure white. Up here I'm going to use the white you can see on the top of this one's head. I use pure white to lighten my yellower color, and then in the shadows, if they're real dark, I might use black. So let's get started, and I'll show you how I just use those colors to fill in these shadows. We're going to put this bright color on this lion's back, but then I'll come over here to this darker, redder color, which is just a brown, but the way I mixed it was adding more red to it as I added the black, and the way I mixed the bright color was making it more yellow as I lightened it with white. Now whenever I do bright highlights to something, I always highlight the middle color or the true color of the object. I never highlight a color that already has shadow in it. Always go back to the middle color. You add shadow to the middle color, you add highlight to the middle color. So I'd always go back to this yellow before I went to the shadow. I'd always go back to the yellow before I went to the highlight. Getting these things mixed is when things start to look real dead and flat. So maybe here where it's real dark down, where his chest is wrapping under. Then maybe there I'll just put a dab of black. I'm going to be careful that I don't add a bunch of black to my yellower color, because that's going out of order with my system. As it gets darker, it has more of the red. So I'm only going to add the black where I have this redder color. Now my colors are going to mix some. I'm not trying to mix them, but inevitably they do mix. For that reason, I mix them a little brighter than I need them to be, so that when this happens and they get kind of dirty, they actually mix down to more of a natural color that I want to be my finished result. So I'm not going to use all this yellow in here because I want him to have these white colored paws, but I'm going to add color to the shadow, because remember the spectrum, it goes to white, but then just before the white is the orange and the yellow. So I'm going to add a little bit of color to these shadows. I want it to be kind of a dirty white, so instead of just adding yellow, a tiny bit of yellow. It's only a tiny bit if you're shadowing white. Now I've seen a million times the color white shadowed with just gray. It looks like it doesn't have depth and it doesn't look natural because the shadow doesn't have the color in it. You want color in the shadows. Now we come in here and go 1, 2, 3, 4 little toesies. I have this towel. Hey, I always keep a towel handy to get rid of excess paint. A lot of the time I can just drag the brush across areas that have too much buildup on them, need to be smoothed out, and get a nice fur effect by doing that. Now when I want to make deep shadows in fur, I kind of make a little A shape, you know, make a triangle shape going upward and then blend that down if I'm putting a dark shadow color in. That is with long hair like this. See how I kind of made a triangle? Can make shapes like that all around. Here's one kind of going this way. Makes it look like little divides in the hair where it tapers together. Then, you know, I can just, it'll accomplish the same kind of shapes if I drag the light color over the shadow. I mean, whatever the approach is, it's the order of colors that makes it look like fur. So this will look even better on another layer and really watering down the paint. You know, you can get some great depth with water-based paint by doing multiple layers of fur. So I'll let this dry all the way and then I'll just, you know, come over it again with the same technique, but thinner, more watered down. See what I can accomplish like that.